Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went in there? Maybe you've caught yourself searching for your glasses, only to find them on your head. Don't worry, you're not alone. These little lapses are common, and they happen to everyone. But when they start showing up more often, it's natural to feel a bit concerned. You might wonder, is my mind slowing down? Or even, is this just what aging feels like? But what if I told you something surprising? What if I told you that learning just one new skill, even after the age of 70, can help keep your brain sharp, your memory stronger, and even your mood brighter? Yes, it's true. You don't need to take on a college degree or become fluent in a new language overnight. In fact, even something as simple as picking up a hobby like painting, playing a few notes on the piano, or learning how to use a smartphone app can make a real difference. Because when you learn something new, especially something that's just a little bit challenging, your brain lights up. New pathways are formed, old ones get strengthened. It's like giving your mind a fresh coat of paint. So today, let's talk about why this matters more than ever, and how you can get started without feeling overwhelmed. You see, the brain is a lot like a muscle. If you don't use it, it starts to weaken. And while we often think about exercise for our bodies, we forget that our brain needs exercise too. Just as walking every day can keep your heart healthy, learning something new can keep your brain healthy. And here's the beautiful part. It's never too late to start. Many people believe that by 70 or 80, the brain can't grow anymore. But that's just not true. Scientists have discovered something called neuroplasticity, a fancy word that simply means the brain can keep changing and adapting, even in older age. Imagine that, your brain still has the ability to build new connections, form new memories, and stay flexible. All it needs is the right kind of activity to spark that growth. Now, I'm not here to throw scientific terms at you. What I really want to do is help you see that learning one new thing, not 10, not even 5, just one new skill can truly help your mind stay young. And more than that, it can bring back a sense of purpose and joy that sometimes fades as we get older. Think back to when you were a child, or even a young adult. Remember the excitement of learning something for the first time? Whether it was how to ride a bike, cook a new recipe, or send your first email, there was something so satisfying about figuring it out. That feeling doesn't have to be a thing of the past. You can still feel it, and better yet, it can actually help protect your brain. Let me tell you about Mrs. Lan, a lovely woman I met a few years ago. She had just turned 74 and felt like her days were becoming predictable. Wake up, make tea, water the plants, watch TV, go to sleep. When I asked her what she used to enjoy, she smiled and said, "I always wanted to learn how to sketch portraits. But I'm too old for that now." I gently encouraged her to try anyway. So she picked up a beginner's pencil set and started watching short drawing videos. A few weeks later, her face was glowing, not because she had become the next Picasso, but because she had found something that made her brain come alive again. That's the magic I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be complicated or perfect. What matters is that it's new and engaging. And that brings us to the first reason why learning something new after 70 is so powerful. It helps create new brain cells and strengthens your memory. When we challenge ourselves to learn, our brain releases chemicals that support growth and repair. It's like sending your brain to the gym. And just like with physical exercise, a little bit every day is far more effective than doing a lot once in a while. The key is to stay curious. Try something that stretches you just a little outside your comfort zone. It might be frustrating at first, and that's okay. In fact, it's part of the process. The frustration you feel when you're trying something new? That's your brain building muscle. But it's not just about memory. Learning also helps lift your mood. Many people don't realize that staying mentally active can help reduce the risk of depression and anxiety in older age. When you learn a new skill, your brain releases dopamine, a feel-good chemical that gives you a natural boost. Suddenly, your days feel more exciting again. You wake up with something to look forward to. You're not just passing time, you're growing. That's the magic I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be complicated or perfect. What matters is that it's new and engaging. And that brings us to the first reason why learning something new after 70 is so powerful. It helps create new brain cells and strengthens your memory. When we challenge ourselves to learn, our brain releases chemicals that support growth and repair. It's like sending your brain to the gym. And just like with physical exercise, a little bit every day is far more effective than doing a lot once in a while. The key is to stay curious. Try something that stretches you just a little outside your comfort zone. It might be frustrating at first, and that's okay. In fact, it's part of the process. The frustration you feel when you're trying something new? That's your brain building muscle. But it's not just about memory. Learning also helps lift your mood. Many people don't realize that staying mentally active can help reduce the risk of depression and anxiety in older age. When you learn a new skill, your brain releases dopamine, a feel-good chemical that gives you a natural boost. Suddenly, your days feel more exciting again. You wake up with something to look forward to. You're not just passing time, you're growing. Now that we've started to understand how powerful learning can be for the brain and mood, let's explore what kind of skills are especially helpful, and how to choose the right one for you. Because the key to success isn't in picking something popular. It's in choosing something that speaks to you. Choosing the right skill to learn isn't about chasing trends or doing what everyone else is doing. It's about paying attention to what makes you feel excited, curious, or even just a little bit nervous, in a good way. Sometimes, the best place to start is by asking yourself a simple question. What have I always wanted to try but never got around to? Maybe you've always admired people who could play the guitar or speak a few words of French. Maybe you've been fascinated by beautiful flower arrangements or those who can knit a scarf in just a few evenings. Or maybe, deep down, there's a part of you that still wants to write your story, the one you've lived, full of rich memories and life lessons that deserve to be shared. Whatever it is, that tiny spark of interest is where your journey can begin. Don't worry if you feel unsure or out of practice. That's completely normal. The trick is to start small. Pick a skill that feels interesting, but not overwhelming. You're not signing up for an exam or a competition. You're simply inviting your brain to wake up and say, hey, let's try something new today. Let's take a moment to talk about the kind of skills that are especially good for the brain. One powerful type is anything that uses multiple senses at once, like sight, touch, hearing, and movement. When you engage more than one sense, your brain creates stronger connections. That's why activities like dancing, painting, or learning a musical instrument are so effective. They don't just keep your hands busy, they light up entire sections of your brain. Another great option is something that requires problem solving or creativity. Think of puzzles, games like chess or Sudoku, writing short stories, or even designing digital photo albums. These activities ask your brain to think in new ways, to plan, to imagine. And as you stretch your thinking, you're also building resilience. That means you're training your brain to stay strong, even in the face of challenges. You don't have to become an expert. In fact, the magic isn't in mastering the skill, it's in the learning itself. The process of trying, practicing, making mistakes, and improving, that's where the brain gets its real workout. I once met a gentleman named Mr. Hoy who, at 76, decided to take up photography using just his smartphone. At first, he couldn't even figure out how to focus the camera. But every day, he would take a few pictures around his garden, flowers, shadows, birds. Little by little, his photos improved. But more importantly, he changed. His eyes lit up again. He started sharing his pictures with friends, even started an Instagram account with the help of his grandson. He told me, I feel like I've discovered a new world. That's the kind of transformation that can happen when you commit to learning something new, not just in what you can do, but in how you feel about yourself. Now, once you've chosen something to try, the next step is figuring out how to begin. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They think, I don't know where to start. I'm not good with technology. What if I fail? But the truth is, you don't have to do it alone. There are more resources available today than ever before, many of them designed specifically for beginners, especially older adults. If you have internet access, YouTube is full of simple, step-by-step tutorials on just about anything. Want to learn how to draw a cat? There's a video for that. Want to practice stretching exercises for seniors? There are hundreds. Want to try using Canva to design a birthday card? You'll find clear, friendly guides that walk you through every click. And if you don't want to use the internet, that's okay too. Local community centers, libraries, or senior clubs often offer beginner classes or workshops. You can even ask a friend, a neighbor, or a family member to help you get started. Most people are happy to help, you just have to ask. Sometimes the biggest hurdle is simply saying yes. Yes to starting something new. Yes to being a beginner. Yes to giving your brain the care and attention it deserves. Because you've spent your life learning, working, giving, and helping others. Now it's time to give yourself a little gift, the joy of growing again. And here's something else that's worth mentioning. Learning a new skill can also connect you to others. Whether it's joining a class, commenting on a YouTube video, or just chatting with your neighbor about what you're trying, you're creating social connections. And those connections are like vitamins for the brain. They help reduce loneliness, build confidence, and make each day feel a little more meaningful. In fact, some studies have shown that staying socially active and mentally engaged is one of the best ways to protect yourself against cognitive decline. So by learning something new, you're not just exercising your brain, you're also opening the door to new friendships, shared laughter, and maybe even a little adventure. And let's be honest, life feels more alive when you're curious. When you're exploring, when you're not just watching the world go by, but reaching out and touching it in new ways. So whether it's learning to use a new app, practicing Tai Chi in the park, planting herbs on your balcony, or finally picking up that guitar that's been sitting in the corner for years, now is the perfect time. You're not too old, it's not too late, and the best part? Your brain is ready. All it needs is for you to say, let's begin. Let's continue this journey by looking at how to stay motivated, even when the excitement wears off or when things feel difficult. Because yes, the brain loves learning, but like all good things, it takes patience and persistence. And that's what we'll explore next, how to keep going, and how to make this new habit a joyful part of your daily life. One of the biggest challenges in learning something new, especially later in life, is staying motivated when the excitement fades. At first, everything feels fresh and interesting. You might feel proud just for starting, but then comes a day when you don't feel like practicing, or you try something and it doesn't work, or maybe someone says, why bother at your age? And suddenly, that spark starts to flicker. But here's what I want you to remember. Every learner hits rough patches. It doesn't matter if you're 7 or 70. Frustration, doubt, and boredom are just part of the journey. They're not signs that you're failing, they're signs that you're growing. Think about a seed planted in the soil. It doesn't shoot up into a tree overnight. It needs time, it needs care, and sometimes, it needs to push through the dirt and darkness before it can reach the light. That's what learning is like. Some days you'll feel like you're blooming. Other days, you might feel stuck. But if you keep watering that seed, even just a little, it will grow. So how do you keep going when motivation runs low? The first thing is to make learning a daily habit, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. You don't need to spend hours every day, you just need to show up. Even watching one short video, writing a few lines, or practicing a simple move can keep your brain active and remind you that you're still on your path. The second key is to celebrate small wins. Did you finally figure out how to send an email with an attachment? That's a win. Did you manage to crochet a tiny square, even if it's not perfect? Another win. Each small step is proof that you're capable. Don't wait for a big finish line to feel proud. Acknowledge the progress you're making right now. And when the process feels hard, try to bring joy into it. Play your favorite music in the background. Invite a friend to join you. Turn your learning time into a moment you look forward to, not just another task on your list. It also helps to remind yourself why you started. Maybe you wanted to keep your brain sharp. Maybe you wanted to bond with your grandchildren. Maybe you just wanted to prove to yourself that it's never too late. Whatever your reason, hold on to it. That's your fuel when the road feels long. And please, don't compare yourself to others. Learning isn't a race. Some people learn fast, others take their time. What matters is that you're doing it. You're showing up. You're choosing growth when it would be easier to just stay where you are. That takes courage, and that's something to be proud of. Now, beyond motivation, there's one more thing I want to talk about. The surprising power this journey can have on the rest of your life. You see, when you learn a new skill, it doesn't just affect your brain. It affects your confidence, your mood, your sense of identity. It reminds you that you are still full of potential, that your story isn't finished. And when you believe that, it changes the way you walk through each day. You start standing taller, smiling more, saying yes to new things. Some people even find that learning sparks other changes. Maybe you start eating healthier because you want more energy. Or maybe you sleep better because your mind feels more active and fulfilled. One small step can start a ripple effect, and suddenly, your whole life starts to feel more alive. There's a quiet strength in choosing to keep learning. It says, I'm still here. I still matter. And I'm not done yet. And just think of the message that sends to the people around you, your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors. When they see you trying something new, it gives them hope. It reminds them that growth never stops. You become a living example of what it means to age with courage, curiosity, and grace. So, what's next? That part is up to you. Maybe today's the day you open that book you've been meaning to read. Maybe you'll ask your niece to show you how to use Zoom. Or maybe you'll just sit quietly and ask yourself, what would I love to learn, just for me? There is no wrong answer. The only mistake is waiting too long to begin. Because your brain is still full of power. Your heart is still full of dreams. And your life, yes, even now, is still full of possibilities. You've made it through the hardest parts of life. You've overcome challenges, cared for others, worked hard, given so much. Now it's time to give something to yourself, the joy of becoming a beginner again. So, go ahead, try something new, make mistakes, laugh at them, try again. You'll be surprised at how alive you start to feel. And if this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. What skill are you excited to try? What's something you've always wanted to learn but never gave yourself the chance? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring content made just for you. Thank you for being here.